winner. You can promote tricks by playing your king and knocking out the ace so your queen jack are good. A squeeze play works when none of those things will. A squeeze play actually enables you to make a contract that's, quote, unmakeable. And it sounds complicated, but it's not really. I guarantee you've all probably squeezed someone and you didn't even know it. Maybe it was your partner. You've been squeezed. And sometimes there's something called a pseudo squeeze, where you think you're being squeezed and what? You throw away the wrong card. Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
Aren't you mad when you throw away the wrong card because you maybe didn't pay attention at a critical time and you tossed the wrong card? So you're not as unfamiliar with squeeze plays as you might think. Tonight we're going to talk about the concept of busy cards and idle cards, because idle cards are ones that either defender can throw away without a care in the world. That's an idle card. It's never going to be any good. It's never going to take a trick with it. A busy card, however, is important to the defender. It is either a winner or, for example, the ace is gone, but he's got the king. And he's looking at the queen and dummy. Does he ever want to throw that king away? No, no. On the other hand, if he's got a couple of cards, like, say, a queen and a little card in another suit, and the ace-jack are in the dummy, does he ever want to throw away one of those cards? No. So a squeeze is simply playing cards and forcing a defender to discard when he doesn't want to. It forces him to give up winners or potential winners. And as I've said, it's not too difficult to learn. When I've watched, I used to watch on Bridge, let's see, which one was the one? Okay, Bridge. You could watch the experts play. Watching them play a hand, they would set up a potential squeeze on every hand, routinely. That was how they thought. And I have to say, I don't necessarily do that. But they just did it just in case a squeeze was needed. Why would a squeeze be needed? Well, when you need another trick and there's no way to get it. Maybe you know that the finesse is not going to work. Maybe you've tried to play a suit and it didn't break, you know. If you're missing 6 cards, you know, they break 4-2, twice as often as they break 3-3. Well, not quite, but just about. Well, 2/3 of the time, they're going to break 4-2. No, wait a minute. They're going to break 3-3 about 1/3 of the time. They're going to break 4-2 about half the time. So it's not quite twice as much, but it is a lot more. So busy cards are cards that the opponent does not want to throw away. A threat card is a card that's not a winner, but might become a winner. For example, I mentioned if the queen is on the dummy and this defender holds the king, is this a winner? No, but it's a threat to become a winner if he discards that king of spades, or whatever it is. And you say, oh, well, he would never discard that. Well, sometimes he's damned if he does, and damned if he doesn't. That's what a real squeeze is. A real squeeze is, no matter how good the player, he can't help it. He cannot get it right. He has to discard something. Whatever he discards is going to hand you the trick that you need. In order to set up and execute you to squeeze, you've got to have entry cards. Have you ever had a card that's good on the dummy but you can't get there? Yeah, I think we all have. So in doing a squeeze, we don't waste our entries early. We plan that we might need that card to get over and if we get our squeeze set up. And these other terms, isolating the thread and rectifying the count, we're going to talk about. So when does a squeeze occur? As soon as an opponent cannot follow suit. So what would you use as squeeze cards?
Trumps.
Trumps. In a suit contract, absolutely. And it's counterintuitive to play off every trump. It just is. I like that safety of having a trump in my pocket, but sometimes playing that squeeze card is the only way I can put the pressure on an opponent. Another, and I'm sure you've all seen this, when they're playing no trump, and they've got about 6 or 7 diamonds, and they keep playing those diamonds, and you keep having to discard. So long suits and trumps are very good to put the pressure on the opponent. So, in order for a squeeze to work, your opponent must not have a card he's willing to part with. That means what? You have to get rid of his idle cards. For example, one way to do that is to deliberately cash, let's say you have the jack somewhere, maybe you have the jack third, and you've got the ace king. You cash them. And now what? He who has the queen has a very busy card. A very busy card. You take his idle cards away very often by doing something called rectifying the count. When you rectify the count, now I don't know how they came up with this term, but that's the official term, so I'll use it. It basically is losing all the tricks you can afford to lose for your contract early, so that now that we've lost all those tricks, except, okay, and we have one more loser, that's how we set up a squeeze. So with a squeeze, we need to have all of our tricks but one. All of our tricks but one to set up a squeeze. So, if we make sure that we have the opponent sweating with our discards, and that he knows that he's the only one that can guard a couple of suits, the squeeze works. So I put this blue up here. It's an acronym for setting up a squeeze. B is busy cards. The same opponent has to have busy cards in 2 suits. Busy cards meaning guards, potential that are winners. And if they're winners, he doesn't want to throw them away. So he's got to have the winners in both suits. If one partner has a guard in one suit and another partner has a guard in the other suit, if they communicate to each other and watch each other's discards, it doesn't work right. But if the same opponent has both guards or both busy cards, that's the B. You must get down to one loser. You must have, what I mean by that is that if you're in 6 and you see 11 tricks and you need 12, you lose the 13th trick early. busy cards. So you get down to where you've still got 11, and you need 12. So you've got one loser that you're trying to get rid of. The U stands for upper hand. When we talk about an upper hand in bridge, we mean the hand that plays after the busy cards. Because on some squeezes, if I have to discard from dummy before the person with the busy cards, it's easy. He sees what I've discarded and he discards accordingly, and there's no squeeze. So if I, the dummy, have to play after my left-hand opponent, the dummy is the upper hand. Conversely, if I'm coming off the dummy playing towards my hand, and this is the guy I'm squeezing, then my hand is the upper hand. So the upper hand is that you discard after the person with the busy cards. Because what I will discard depends on what he does. Okay? And E, finally, is entries. It doesn't do any good to set up big cards if you can't get to them, right? So you always have to watch your entries. Okay, do you have a question thus far? Okay. So basically, a squeeze is possible when opponents cannot follow suit. If they can follow suit, well, there's no squeeze. It's when they cannot follow suit and they're forced to discard that we have the possibility of a squeeze. A simple squeeze, a positional squeeze only works when, let's say that this person has the busy cards and I'm going to discard after him. And that means that my threatening cards are both over there, right? Does that make sense? My threatening cards are over here. So I have, I play, and depending on what he plays, I discard from the dummy. So in that case, if his cards are over here, the squeeze won't work. It depends on the position of the busy cards for it to work. So in a positional squeeze, it's only possible if the squeezed party plays before I do, okay? Because I can change what I do depending on what he does. And conversely, if the busy cards are in the hand after the dummy, he does the same thing. He changes his play depending on what I discard from the dummy. I put an end position on the middle of the handout here. Page 2.
At the top of the one that says simple squeeze.
Okay. Squeezes usually occur at the end of the hand. Sometimes they occur earlier, but usually a squeeze position is at the end. And so in this case, I have the Queen of Spades in my hand. Okay? That is my squeeze card. The squeeze card is the one I play that they cannot follow suit with. Okay? No, I'm sorry, this is not the squeeze card in this case. I have 3 hearts on the dummy and 1 heart in my hand. So I have an entry to the hearts, don't I? Okay. I don't have any diamonds. Dummy doesn't have any diamonds. It is the Queen of Spades. I think I reversed a card on that. Let me see if that works. If I play the if I play the queen of spades, yes, I play the queen of spades. Now, it's true that left-hand opponent still has a jack, right? That is okay, I don't have it anymore. And right-hand opponent, look at his problem. I'm in my hand with the queen of spades. If he throws a heart, I'm going to throw a heart, by the way, when I play that queen of spades. I don't have any other choice. I'll play the 4 hearts. Now, when I play that queen of spades, if my right-hand opponent, the squeezee, if he throws a heart, I'm home free. However, if he says, I'm not throwing a heart, I'm going to throw a club, then what? It's still in my hand. My 9 of clubs is good. Right? That is how a squeeze works. He can't do it right because in this case, he is playing after the dummy. However, I have the threat card in my hand as well as a threat card in the dummy. The threat card in the dummy is the 8 of hearts, which will become a winner if he throws a heart. The threat card in my hand is the 9 of clubs that will become a winner if he tosses the 10 of clubs. So you see sometimes how important it is to play off the squeeze card. And in this case, it doesn't matter that this is not Trump's. This is a no Trump contract. So don't worry about that. But in this case, if you reversed east hand and west hand, would the squeeze still work? Yes, it would. And that's called an automatic squeeze. It's automatic because whichever hand has the squeeze cards, it works the same. And that's because I have a threat card in my hand as well as in the dummy. I've got 2 threat cards. Okay? Does that make sense? So, a positional squeeze is where the garter of both suits plays after the declarer but before the dummy. And so if you have, if I could learn to type hands quickly and easily on the computer, I would be way ahead. But it's really, do you know how to type hands on the computer, Susan?
I use Bridge Composer.
You what?
Bridge Composer. I'll show you how.
I'm on the wrong side of the technical divide. Okay. These are dummy spades. He's got the king and the 6, and he's got no hearts, no diamonds. He's got the queen of clubs. Now, I have the 5 of spades, which is an entry. I have the 8 of hearts and the 8 of diamonds. My squeeze card is the heart because left-hand opponent does not have any heart. Neither one have any hearts. So when I play the 8, when I play the squeeze card, he doesn't have any. He has 2 spades, which would be a guard, right?
Look from the other side.
Might be hard to write, you see. Okay, and if he has the ace of clubs, okay, so he has 3 cards, you have 3 cards, there are 3 cards there, and we don't care what he has. He's not important. So when I play this 8 of hearts, he has to decide to throw a spade or to jettison the ace of clubs. Boy, is it hard to jettison an ace when you're staring at the queen. and you know he can get over there. If he jettisons the ace of clubs, what do? I throw a spade. If he throws a spade, I throw a club. So, in this case, if we move these cards over to here, would the squeeze work? Why not? Because he sees what I do, right? So, when it depends on who has the guards, it's called a positional squeeze. And I don't know which comes up more often. I think that squeezes come up way more often than people execute them. As a matter of fact, one of the worst insults I ever heard was someone was talking about a guy with 13,000 points, and she said he couldn't find a squeeze with both hands. So that was a real insult, because with 13,000 master points, he certainly couldn't find them, but she was just being insulting. So what's a threat card? What is a threat card? The concept is real important. It's not a winner, but it threatens to become a winner. And it can threaten to become a winner. Here, this is a threat card if he discards the ace of clubs. The 6 is a threat card if he discards a spade. So I have 2 threat cards that are playing after him. Okay, so a threat card is key. I mean, you can't have a real squeeze without a threat card that will become a winner. And that may be an honor, where there's a higher honor out, or it may be something like one opponent is trying to guard 2 4-card suits, and he can't. And if he throws 1 card in either suit, which he's going to have to do when he has no cards to follow suit. Now, if you've got the ace, king, queen, you're going to bring in your 4th card, your little card, and make it a winner. Okay. Another concept is isolating the threat. What do I mean by isolating the threat? Well, it's not a threat if both opponents have guards, right? Just one has to keep it, and I'm done. But let's say that I've got ace like that and a singleton. This one has queen, jack, 10, 5 of them. And this one has a king and 2 more. Both of them have guards, right? Both of them have guards. But since this would be a real common lead, right? Top of the 3-card honor position. They play the queen, you play the ace. They play and you play. Now we have, both of them still have a guard. But what if I have the transportation to come over here and rough one? I rough, okay? Okay, there's another. Then I go back over there and I rough another one. That takes the king out. When I rough his king, now he has the jack 10, and I have the 9, right? 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now I have the guard isolated. I got rid of his guard by roughing it out. Does that make sense? If I use the word isolating the guard, that's what I mean. I don't want both opponents guarding a suit, because if both opponents are guarding, there's no squeeze possible. So I isolate the threat now 2 busy cards, right? And if I have other suits that I'm going to play off, he might have to give up the Jack 10 in order to preserve his other busy card. Okay? Now, that's a squeezed play in a nutshell. So since it's easier, I think, to see something in action, I asked at each table to put out, to separate the cards into suits. And I'm going to give you a hand.